Namaste, brothers and sisters all over the world. Thank you for joining me, your sensuality consultant life coach, for another episode of Your Pleasure Incorporated into Daily Living. Today, I want to talk about romantic love and what it has become and what it is, so that you understand the big difference between romantic love and all other forms of love. Now, one of my previous shows, I did talk about the 5 different kinds of love. There's motherly love, love of God, fatherly love, brotherly love, and romantic love. And each one of these is expressed in a very, very different way. And one of the biggest differences between romantic love and say motherly love is that motherly love is unconditional. There might be a few exceptions out there, but for the most part, the mother does her best to protect the child from the moment that she knows that she's pregnant. If she wants to have the baby, she is in 100%. If she doesn't, that's a whole different set of circumstances, but she doesn't even know this child, but it's coming through her, so she's giving it her unconditional love. Romantic love is not the same. Romantic love is based almost on a quid quo pro quo system, where each of us is sizing the other person up and saying, can this person fulfill my needs? That's really what it comes down to. And everybody's needs are pretty much different. What they consider a comfort is grossly different in our society. Some people are happy just to have a box to sleep in Los Angeles or New York City. They're happy to have that. And then someone else can have a $1 billion house and not be happy. So we are slaves to our desires and our needs and our passions. And if someone else comes into our life that we believe can give us the things that we want and need, then this person is of romantic interest to us. Now, romantic usually connotes that there will be a sexual relationship. Again, very different than other forms of love. Most people aren't having sex with their mother or their father. And if they do, they call that incest, and it's not a good thing. Brotherly love is love between friends. Are you having sex with all of your friends? No. Okay. So love of God, again, it has nothing to do with sex. But romantic love, that has the sexual component, and that adds a whole level of volatility to the relationship. Because as soon as people start sizing each other up, they also start sizing up each other's ability to please. Now, if a woman has more of a barterer's personality when it comes to her sex, she doesn't care if he satisfies her sexually. She'll be happy to have the nice house and the expensive car and the nice clothes, and she'll put up with that. It's not necessarily an honest relationship, but it's a good third of all the relationships out there. So, there are all kinds of people in all kinds of relationships, and how their romance is expressed to one another comes in a monetary explanation. Okay, it shouldn't, but if you've seen any of these shows where they're talking about what do you bring to the table, I can understand that they want to know that if they're paying for that, what are they paying for? And if the only thing that you can respond with is, I have a really nice vagina and some great tits, then that is going to fade, because you're not interesting enough consistently to keep someone interested in you, and that will fade. And yet so many people base their entire sexual relationship on what they initially saw and liked about the other person. Never mind that this person might be a selfish lover. Never mind that this person can't pull their own weight. Never mind any of the discrepancies, any of the things that one would consider twice before getting into, say, a business relationship with someone. This person is getting into a romantic relationship with someone. And if that person does not fit all of their needs, and when I say all of their needs, they can't fit everyone, but what's really important to you? Do you need to feel supported? Do you need to be heard? Do you need to be understood? Do you need someone to support you financially? What are you going to trade off for that financial support? Are you going to cook some fabulous meals? Are you going to dress up like a bunny and have sex with them every night? What are you going to do? Because everything that you do with any kind of repetition, except for eating, can get very monotonous and boring and predictable. And that is the death of romantic love. Repetition and knowing what's coming. So there's a couple of things here that need to be really considered. In the very beginning, you're attracted to one another because you like the way each other looks, whether the person behind the face is chemically good for you, whether your pheromones and their pheromones jive, whether your intellect is kind of on even keel, whether your empathy and communication skills are on even par, and whether you feel heard by this person, or just so that you're just so enamored of them that it doesn't matter if you say anything, whatever makes you comfortable. But you have to understand that's the foundation of the relationship, and it can grow if you put effort into it. And that's the other thing about romantic love, which is very different than motherly love. A mother loves her children unconditionally the moment that they're in her, and when they're born and then they grow up. They could be the greatest people in society, or they could be the total shitheads, and mother's going to love them. It's not the same with romantic love. If you come with a certain amount of expectations and promises of what your part in this romantic relationship is going to be, and then for whatever reason or reasons decide to abandon those promises, a person could easily, quote, fall out of love, okay? Because it's not just about the sex, as so many people think. It's not just about having another body in the house that, can call the police if they come home and you're dead on the floor. No, okay? It's about having a life to share and being heard and being cared for and caring for another person and knowing that they are your partner. They are your equal in God's eyes. They are no less a life form than you are. They have their own set of trials and tribulations. And if you can help each other down this path of life, all the better for you, because that's what romantic love turns into. It turns into the biggest friendship of your life if you're paying attention. And then that's one more thing that I really, really have to emphasize about romantic love. It starts off like a fire. Sometimes it's a small fire, and it gets fanned, and it gets bigger, and it gets bigger, and maybe you're in your 30s, it's like firing on all cylinders, and it's phenomenal, okay? Then kids come along, and other things come along, and it's not quite as frequent, but it happens when it can, and both are appreciative of the togetherness time with their lover. Passion is like a flame, okay? It starts off as a spark, and then It gets bigger, okay, especially if you're fanning it and adding fuel. But under the pressures of hearth and home, some people forget about that passion with their significant other. And everything else is more important. And when they do get together, it's sort of kind of very impersonal. So nothing kills romance faster than predictable, less than passionate sexual intercourse. Nobody wants to just do it just to do it. They want to do it because there's a soul-to-soul connection that can happen there. And if it's not happening, it's because neither person is invested. And so that has to say something about the relationship too. Okay? That's the other thing about romantic love that is so different than the other forms of love. That when that sexual component is added into the mix, it is a soul-to-soul connection. And it is a beautiful and uplifting connection that can benefit the relationship and the health of each individual. Because when it is done with love, with care, with knowledge, and with respect for one another, there's really nothing more beautiful that two human beings can share. Now, of course, I'm talking about grown adults. Okay, I'm not even talking about 18-year-olds, because even though they're considered adults, in my mind, they're still children. Okay, and say a 30-year-old having sex with an 18-year-old, as much as that 18-year-old might think she can handle it, she has no idea what's going to happen and to her and to her reputation and to her foundation of sexual appreciation. So again, romantic love, something that has to be worked on, little bits of fuel, a little bit of attention, especially during those years where everything is being distracting you away from the original relationship, which was the romantic relationship between you and your spouse. Okay. And all the intimacies that you shared, there might not be as many, but if you know that person is on your mind and they know that they're on your mind, if there's that interaction, whether it's a smile, whether it's a pinch on the butt, whether it's a hug for no reason, your significant other needs to know that you are still very, very, very much interested in them. You can't just constantly be like two ships in the night, and the only time you get together is when you're planning on having sex. It can't be like that, because nothing kills a relationship faster than complacency. Nothing. I want to wish you all a phenomenal evening, and thank you so much for joining me. Namaste. Please do your Kegel exercises so you never need diapers for adults. And if you do have a question about anything that I spoke about here, please contact me at ypi69@hotmail.com. I will be happy to answer your questions and maybe even use one of those questions as subject matter for one of my podcasts. So thank you so much for joining me, and have a phenomenal night. Namaste, everybody.